We come together now to celebrate and honor some of the strongest speakers in this tremendous community. Now, scholars of the global round, there are over 1,500 of you in this room. We are about to call to the stage to lead us in a debate 8 of the top nominated speakers from 8 different countries. But there are literally dozens, if not hundreds, of scholars in this room who are worthy of that same honor. And it is only because there are so many of us that so many of us will not be on stage, despite being the same caliber of speaker that you will soon hear from. So please, when we say that this is more than just a debate on stage, it is meant to be a discussion for the community, we mean it. When this debate is over, we don't just invite you as an audience to join us with your thoughts and comments on the motion. We encourage you. I wish we could require you, because we are so eager to hear all your thoughts on the topic at hand. So please, while these speakers plan their debates, think about what you might add to the conversation. Now, when the time comes for that, please be mindful that we do have a lot of students and limited time. And we'd like to ask you to keep your comments as members of the audience to one main point about the motion. Please do not engage in individual debates or feedback sessions with the scholars on stage. There'll be plenty of time to do that over dinner at their tables. That's how you can get to know each other, by arguing. Here, we want to hear your thoughts on the motion, expressed succinctly, directly, and in a way that will inspire the rest of us to also think deeper about the topic. So, the speakers who are joining us, an affirmative team and a negative team. There'll be 4 speakers on each side. These speakers will be meeting perhaps for the first time because they are from so many different countries. And that's part of sort of the reason behind the showcase. When you bring together voices of such diverse backgrounds, the things that those voices say together mean so much more than what each of those voices could say on its own. And together, they will shed light on the motion in hopes that it will inspire a conversation that changes all our points of view in a constructive way going forward. So, I believe it is time to begin announcing who those speakers are. Sarah, where shall the speakers go?
All right, the affirmative team will be Team Giant Jerry and 2 Clone Jerrys to the left of the stage. And the negative team will have Giant Jerry and Giant Skittles. Scholars who are nominated, you will receive your Wi-Fi passes when you get to the table, so don't worry about getting Wi-Fi passes. You have them on the table here.
And they will continue working after the debate showcase. So in a sense, your prize for being in the showcase is free Wi-Fi. Groans. All right.
All right, we begin with a scholar from Indonesia, from National High Jakarta School, Benedict Suteja.
Please join us on stage. You are our first participant in the debate showcase. Our second speaker joins us from the great country of Kazakhstan. They're from Haliberia Astana, and this scholar is Sharon Ng. And she is receiving a loud cheer from the people of Kazakhstan. Please do bring your computer and anything you might need in order to prepare for the debate.
And your alpaca.
Yes, bring your Jerry
Give you
clone.
support. Our third speaker from the affirmative team comes to us from China, from Shanghai United International School, Goodbye. It is Shishi Lei.
Welcome to the stage, Shishi. And our fourth speaker on the affirmative is from Singapore, from Tanglin Trust School, Kohana Atuk.
And as our last affirmative speakers make their way to this very high stage, let's have a round of applause for your affirmative team. And now to our negative team. Our first speaker comes to us from Bahrain, from St. Christopher's School, Joseph and Horn. He's sprinting to the stage.
There's a tuk-tuk available. Our second negative speaker joins us from Australia, from Scotch College. This speaker is Lewis Orr.
Our next speaker on the negative team comes from India. From Heritage School Rohini, it is Vidita Grover.
And we look for her in the audience. Our fourth speaker and our final speaker on the negative team joins us from Malaysia, but not from Kuala Lumpur, from Penang, from Prince of Wales Island International School. It is Aditya Mutharasu.
And as Aditya and Vidita make their way to the stage utilizing the tuk-tuk ramp, let's have a round of applause for our negative team.
Now, who will judge this debate? As you know from the regional rounds, the judges of this debate are the VIPs of the debate showcase. They are other scholars from this community who are also among those nominated for the showcase, but because of space constraints, cannot be on stage. These top speakers will be charged with the responsibility of determining the victor of this debate. While they deliberate, that is when the rest of us will converse about the motion. They'll be led out into a secret chamber where no one will be allowed to tamper with this jury, and they will come back with a verdict within about 20 to 30 minutes. Now, we will announce who these judges are. They should take this front row of seats so they have a great view of the debate. We'd like to begin with the first panelist.
The first panelist is Alessandra Lim.
Followed by Januli Siribadana.
Our third panelist is Noah Cliff.
And our fourth is Amelia Marlowe.
Our fifth panelist is Shahana Yusuf.
And our sixth is Gabrielle Melli.
Our next panelist is Eliza Shanae.
Followed by Divya Reina.
Our next panelist is Yoon Bella Kim.
followed by Jacqueline Lin.
And our final panelist is Matthew Ehud Lorenz Sijabat.
Who has enough names for 2 panelists.
Let's have a round of applause for our esteemed panelists.
Now, scholars, we have an affirmative team. We have a negative team. We have a panel of judges. Birch, what do we need?
Scholars, what do we need? Everyone say it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. We need a motion. So, you guys want to know what it is? Yeah, you do. Daniel, sorry, you want to tell us what the motion is for this year's Junior Round 2016 Debate Showcase?
Sarah, what is the motion today?
The motion today is resolved that the management of failed states should be given over to successful states. The management of failed states should be given over to successful states.
Wow, that's pretty timely.
Scholars, you will have 15 minutes to prepare. And audience members, we recommend you think about the motion while the scholars up here prepare for the showcase.
Right, so as Dan explained, the debate format will be essentially like a World Scholars Cup debate format, except with 4 speakers on each team. We will begin with the first speaker from the affirmative side, but of course, we need to talk about time. Every speaker will have 4 minutes to speak. Once you reach 3 minutes, our panel in the front row will wave a Jerry back and forth in the air. So make sure you can see the front row with the panel. When you are out of time, the panel will throw Jerry up and down in the air multiple times. If the speaker does not finish speaking, everyone in the audience, please throw your Jerrys into the air as well. Hopefully that can help the speaker stop speaking. And without further ado, the first speaker of the affirmative side, please take the stage. Just give her a big hand.
May I start? Hello everyone, my name is Sharon and I am from Kazakhstan, Haliberi, Astana, and I am the first speaker of the affirmative team. We strongly believe that the management of failed states should be given over to successful states. My colleagues and I will fully convince you that this is true. I would first like to start with a definition of some of these key terms. A failed state is a state whose political or economic system has become so weak that the government is no longer in control. Some countries, some modern-day countries that are failed states include Yemen or Syria. In contrast, a successful state is a state where the population is economically, politically, and socially unified and is under one government. I would first like to move on to my point. If more successful states are given the responsibility to govern these failed states will not feel ashamed, and they will not feel like obliged to say, no, we are not failed. Because in some cases, these failed states, they do not want to admit that they are failed. And because of this decision by the government of the failed state, the people that are the people that will be suffering the most is the population of that failed state. And if the more successful countries are required by international law to help these failed states, then it is at the interest of the population of the failed states and the population of the successful states to help them. Now, the second speaker of the affirmative team will state the benefits that will come to a failed state that is being managed by a more successful state. Our third speaker will develop and elaborate on the ethical issues and the ethical ways that in regards to this problem. And our fourth speaker will summarize everything and fully convince you that failed states should be given over to successful states. Thank you.
All right, congratulations. Negative team, you have 1 minute to prepare.
All right, first speaker of the negative side, please take the stage. Give her a big hand.
Greetings, respected adjudicator and my worthy opponents. Today the motion before the House is that the management of failed states should be handed over to successful states. And we, being the opposition, clearly oppose this motion and believe that it should fall. Talking about failed states, we in whole right how they aren't able to function properly, how they differ from other states and lack in economic and resource and all the other perspectives. But is it really wise to hand over them to so-called successful states? We need to understand that how handing them over to the successful states will not have any beneficial results. Help comes as an external aid. However, handing over can be called as slavery. Handing over your own state to some another state can be clearly called as slavery. This is also what leads to cultural erosion. We talk about how the governing systems give an identity to a state, but by handing over your system to another system is literally like taking over the identity of an existing state. This defeats the purpose of a governing system. Ironically, in failed states there is a government, and what my opponent stated, the definition stated by my opponents was of a collapsed state. Successful states are managed and controlled and are on the path of development. Let's take a very well-known example here. The USA. USA is known for succeeding. USA contributes greatly to the GDP. USA holds very good rankings in all the index. But what is USA known for? USA is known for its dominance. USA is known for trying to seek absolute control. Do you think these failed states would really benefit if they're handed over to the successful states? Do you think the successful states would even care about these people? But does a failed state really require this handing over? Failed states need help. They don't need a Columbus who comes to take control. They need support. They need aid. A quick rebuttal for my opponents. They talked about the failed government. They talked about the failed economy. Do you think that by giving the control of your own state to another state would really lead to a rise in economy? No, it would not be of any help. These states should try to go up on their own. These states should try to prosper on their own. Because failed states are known for the hope. Because there's a government that exists in failed state, they can still succeed. For a failed state, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And that hope would certainly be crushed by another state who's coming over to take the control. Hence, I would like to rest my case and rest my team's stand by re-emphasizing on the fact that failed states do not require to be handed over to another successful state. Thank you.
All right, great job. 1 more minute of preparation for the affirmative side. All right, second speaker for the affirmative side. Let's give him a big hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, honorable judges, worthy oppositions, and fellow teammates. I am Shishi Lei from Shanghai United International School, and I will be the second speaker of the affirmative team. Our group strongly believes that The management of failed states should be given over to successful states. Firstly, I would like to make a few rebuttals to the opposing team. Your first speaker mentioned the failed states can pursue their own recovery on their own. But I would just like to point out, how is that possible when they're already politically, economically, socially unstable? It would be in the best interest of the population to seek for help. When you are under a time of unrest, when your government has lost control over you, of course you would want to seek for outside help. And how you mentioned that the failed state can pursue recovery on their own, I would just like to say that is not possible. And if a successful state is there to help them recover, it would be the best interest. It would be in the best interest for everyone. This leads on to my point, which is the successful states helping the management of failed states is socially beneficial to both the people in the failed state and the people in a successful state, or in the world in general. I would like to talk about a failed state right now in the world recently, and it's Syria. We all know the civil war in Syria that's been going on for a long time. And we know, and right now there are 3.5 million Syrian refugees going around Europe trying to find places, trying to find their home. And they did not get the help from any successful states. And let me just tell you what that led on to. We also know recently British left the UK, and part of the reason, according to BBC News, is that they had too many refugees coming into their country, taking up their resources. And a large proportion of them were the Syrians who did not get any help. So this leads on to the motion, because there were no successful states helping Syria, and refugees left Syria, affecting the harmony of other countries. And I would also like to talk about how it's beneficial to the people in the failed states. Because when there's a failed state, there's economic decline and social unrest. If there was a successful state helping out with the failed state, it would mean better trading networks with the other countries, because other countries will see the successful state and they understand that these people are reliable. They understand that this government is worthy to be trading partners with. So they would agree to trade with this originally failed state, because there was the help and influence from the successful state's government. And it also it's also beneficial to the people of the failed state, because the people from the successful state will be helping with their infrastructure and construction. For example, better hospitals, better schools for the children, and better roads for transportation. This will all lead to a improvement in their lives and an improvement in their economy. So, because of this, our group strongly believes that the management of failed states should be given over to successful states. Thank you.
4 minutes exactly. All right, 1 more minute of prep time for the negative team.
All right, second speaker of the negative side. Give him a huge round of applause.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lewis. I'm the second speaker for the negative team in this round's motion that the management of failed states should be handed over to successful states, a statement with which we strongly disagree as a negative team. To begin with, I'd like to refute the uninspiring definition as proposed by the affirmative team in this debate, particularly by their first speaker. She appeared to discuss, by definition, a collapsed state, as will be referred to by my third and fourth speakers, as opposed to the failed state as explicitly mentioned in the motion, but that will be further elaborated upon by those speakers. I would allude to it firstly in terms of rebuttal. I would allude to a major theme we've seen running through this debate, and that was touched on by their first speaker, that handover of successful states will somehow remove the shame of a failed state, or rather, the dignity of the state will be preserved by somehow offering itself willingly to a superior state. However, let my team ask the affirmative team a question. Does handing the management of one's failed or collapsed state not implicitly admit an irrevocable societal failure? We can't hide from the motion by stating that handing over one's own state is not a recognition of our own failure. By handing over management, we're not saying we're relinquishing our sovereignty, as if even the dignity of the state should even be considered in the interests of continental stability. It should not be a priority, but as a matter of fact, it's not even relevant. The second thing that we've seen, as touched on by the second speaker, is that a state should not be able to pursue its own recovery in the interests of its population because they're already too far gone. I would refer, however, in this case to a blatant misinterpretation of the motion. It's not, what they discussed was not handing over management. Now, what I mean here is that we agree often we do need the help of stronger states in terms of failing states, and that occurs successfully today in our world. But that does not entail handing over sovereignty. It does not entail handing over complete management, relinquishing control of your own state. Help and that kind of relinquishment are completely divorced issues. I would also allude to, going on to my first point, just allude to the potential for exploitation in this issue. So when you have a stronger state, it's on a societal level, perhaps in military capabilities and other areas of its ability. It is more capable than the nation that it wants to take over, or the nation that the affirmative team would suggest its management to. However, how can we be sure of their benign motives in this process? How can we assure that the potential for exploitation in this process is not taken back? So that's just all I'd like to say as second speaker. In conclusion, this motion must and will fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Orr. 1 more minute for the affirmative side.
All for one and one for all. Honorable Chair, members of the House, hello, my name is Kohana, and I'm here today to convince you that the management of failed states should be given over to successful states. Now, I'd like to start off with some rebuttals. The first speaker of the negative team said that managing a failed state would be similar to slavery. However, as the affirmative team, we have defined management as supporting the state until they are able to function on their own once again. The second speaker of the negative team said, how can we make sure that failed states won't be exploited by these successful states? However, as Team Affirmative, we say that successful states will be regulated by the international community to make sure that they aren't being exploited. Now on to my points. As third speaker, I would like to focus on one of my teammates' definition. The definition of a failed state is a political body that has been disintegrated to a point where basic conditions and responsibilities of a sovereign government no longer function properly. And as human beings, it is our duty, our responsibility, to protect and support each other. This is what defines us as a human race. It's our ability to lend a helping hand to each other and to help those around us in need of help. Currently, there are hundreds of states that have fallen due to terrorism, civil war, and dictatorship. And those countries' citizens are suffering. We can help them. The governments of successful states should support them and help them grow. This perhaps relates to the earlier concept of ubudehe, which we all encountered in the ball earlier. It's the fact that working together as a community solves problems quicker than individually. Failed states will feel social pressure. They will refuse to accept that they are in fact in need of help. And this is where us as successful states come in. Not to take over the state completely, but to offer support and help boost such failed states into a state that is successful, capable of sustaining its own population, and able to provide its citizens with its basic needs. If successful countries don't step in, then who will? These countries are lying in shambles. They have little to no hope of functioning. Progress, not regress. Isn't helping fallen states helping them to transform into states with a brighter future, with a healthier, happier population? Furthermore, states helping each other is a win-win situation. On one hand, successful states are helping failed states, and therefore this benefits the failed states. But it also benefits the successful states as their respective reputations improve. If you believe that helping each other defines us as human beings, if you believe in a brighter future, and if you believe in doing the right thing, then you will agree with me in saying that the management of failed states should be given over to successful states. Thank you.
All right, great job. Once again, 1 minute of prep time. Third speaker of the negative side, it is time for you to take the stage. Give him applause.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to start off by requesting the opposition team to wake up from a dream. I'd like to first say, that the third speaker has finished her debate by saying unity in the world, we can help them, doing the right thing. But please take a look around. Do you really think successful countries are willing to help failed states and spend your time, resources, energy, power on bringing a failed state up from the ground for nothing at all for them? I don't see the point to this. This is simply not a reality. Therefore, I would like to start off the speech by going on to rebut the first and second speaker. The first speaker, quote what she has said, the government has no control. And I'd like to remind the floor that this is part of her definition. A government that has no control of a state is not a failed state, but a collapsed state, and that is very different from the motion today. So, first of all, the first speaker has not defined the motion properly. I'd like to move on to another point that the first speaker has also made. She talks about successful states being more capable and more able because they're successful states. Obviously, they know how to make failed states reach that level or perhaps aid them in some way using their knowledge. This is perhaps the biggest misconception I've ever heard in my life. I would like to go on to some of my points that my teammates have stated, not once but twice throughout your speech, and prove why she is wrong. This is not simply because I like to build up the drama in this room, but because I have solid evidence in my speech, unlike the opposite team who has not given a single evidence of a successful state bringing up a failed state. And also, if the fourth speaker of the opposition team does give any evidence of successful states bringing up a failed state, I would like to ask the fourth speaker personally, how many examples can you bring up? And is that the majority or is that the minority? Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to end my speech today by summarizing what my first speaker and second speaker have said so that the opposition has a chance to somehow try and present a solid point so that the audience can actually be entertained by the humiliation that you're going to be facing soon. And my team's stance is that if a successful state was ever to help a failed state, they would consume the failed state, because such is the reality of the world. And with that, I'd like to end my speech. Thank you.
Great speech. All right, 1 minute of prep time for the final speaker of the affirmative side. All right, time for the final speaker for the affirmative side. Please give him a big hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring the spotlight onto a current pressing issue that our imperfect world suffers from. Imagine the conditions of not the refugees from Syria, because the refugees are still lucky they got away from the situation. Imagine the people living in Syria, the agony, the pain, the torture, the suffering they face from the daily terrors of war. Do we want our brothers and sisters from abroad to face this harsh reality due to the fact that their failing government cannot do a single thing about it? These failed states won't admit they are failed, as the opposition has not admitted that their points are all failed. I'd like to start off my speech with some rebuttals. First of all, what we are doing is we're not enslaving these states, failed states. What we're doing is we're assisting them. And in fact, the opposition has agreed with us and has not actually known their points, because throughout their whole speech, what they're saying is they need aid. Precisely, this is what aid we're gonna give them. We are gonna hand over the management of the failed states to the successful states, because this is the most effective and crucial way how to do this. Furthermore, the opposition has said that the failed states should try rebuilding their own states by their own. However, the failed states will die trying to do that, as their government, even though it's still existent, is essentially a dead government with no ability to govern or provide basic needs for its people. Furthermore, the second speaker of the opposition has gone to say shame and dignity that the failed states will receive. Well, shame and dignity, they are human ego. Completely arbitrary in the matter of politics and states. Furthermore, it does not matter whether the successful states are willing to help or not, because the motion just states that the management of failed states should be given to successful states. Doesn't matter, because the successful states will have to comply, as they are under the watch of an international committee, the wistful eye of an international committee that will watch their every single movement. And if something goes wrong, the whole system will be, in fact, shut down. Now, I'd like to summarize my team's points in a 5-point framework of my own. First, it reduces any social discord within the country. Second, it builds an otherwise impossible trust among nations. Third, it creates a better condition for the populace. Fourth, it's an economic boost to the failed states via trade networks. And fifth, it creates mutual benefits for both sides. As the great President Nelson Mandela has said, if we wait until we're ready, we'll be waiting for the rest of our life. If the failed states wait until they're ready to rebuild their own state, they will die trying. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I conclude my speech. Believe them or believe us. Thank you.
All right, great finale to the affirmative case. One final minute for the negative side to prepare their very last arguments. All right, final speaker from the negative side. He's going up already.
A wise man once said, check yourself before you wreck yourself. And as the affirmative side has not checked themselves, they have done half my job for me by wrecking themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the fourth and final speaker of this debate. This House believes that failed states should be handed over to successful states. And I would like to ask you to think about what the affirmative has done. They have misinterpreted the motion, they have ignored our rebuttals, and they have made no points of their own. Firstly, what is the difference between handing and helping? Handing a state is giving it complete control, and if this is mutual benefit for everyone, then I for one do not want to be a part of it. If this is something to help everyone improve for the better, then I would like to ask you, why did slavery not work in the past? And if it's not slavery, then why has no one done it yet? This is not a debate about living in a hypothetical world with hypothetical fantasies as the affirmative side is trying to lead you to believe. This is a debate about looking at past trends such as slavery and being able to successfully predict them in the future, which we have done and which the affirmative has ceaselessly cared to ignore. I would like to state in fact, that failed states can come back, another lie that the affirmative has told you. Liberia was a failed state within 2011, yet within 2 years, with aid not being handed over to another country, it became simply an alert state. It did not go on to stay on in the very high alert within the Fragile States Index. Failed states can indeed come back, yet another fact that the affirmative has liked you to ignore. I would also like to state that the affirmative side is constantly talking about this like it is a perfect world, like everyone will agree and like everyone will benefit. But what is the theme of our World Scholars Cup today? This is an imperfect world, as we have looked at through crime, through failed states. However, it is not all imperfect. It can become back. However, it cannot recover. It cannot recuperate with hypothetical people who prefer to believe their own fantasies rather than the reality of the world we live in. All for one, one for all, as the third speaker said. I would like to restate that this was a very common phrase within the British Atlantic slave trade, and how did it go out? Many people got killed. There was forced labor, and generally, life just sucked for everybody. I don't want this to happen again, and I don't think any of you prefer slavery again. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say that as the affirmative side has ignored our points, as they have misinterpreted the motion, the motion has fallen, and unlike failed states, the affirmative cannot come back from this.
It is time that we hand this discussion over to you guys, to the audience. There are 3 mic stands in this theater. One in the front here, one in the back over there, and one over there. If anybody would like to contribute to this discussion as part of the community, please come to one of these mic stands so you may put forth your comments or questions or any other contributions you have. However, in the interest of time, these comments will be limited to 30 seconds each. There will be a timer on screen to catch the people with perhaps a little bit too much to say. All right, if we could have the first comment from that mic stand over there.
In all honesty, today's debate focused too much on whether the motion today is principally justified. Usually we agree that helping others is a morally good thing to do, but what both sides failed to realize today is whether or not this will actually help the failed states and the world as a whole. I was shocked that this particular example did not come up in today's debate. When the US involvement in the overthrow of Colonel Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein led to the collapse of these states and catalyzed the rise of ISIS. Is this what we really want? Thank you.
And thank you very much. To the middle mic stand.
So I'd like to, well, not raise a question, but both teams didn't really use strong examples. So for the negative side on why the management of failed states should not be handed over to successful states, a very good example would have been the US-led invasion of Iraq. It failed completely. Yeah.
All right, and thank you. Once more to the microphone in the back of stage left.
Yeah, the thing is that I would like to tell that the states are actually which are failed. They don't need to hand over their states, but they can take help. The affirmative speaker was saying that they will take help, and the motion was completely different. The motion was exactly that will they give the whole handover to the states which are successful, and the whole thing is completely different. Help and handling over the complete control is different.
All right, thank you. To the middle mic stand.
Thanks. I'd just like to point out that countries that are stronger really shouldn't take over failing states. I mean, a perfect precedent of this is when, towards the end of the 1800s, the British and the European powers came along and drew lines on a map separating Africa, with paying little to no regard on ethnic divisions. This could be directly attributed to some of the wars that are caused later in the 1900s, so I'd just like you to consider that. Thank you.
And thank you for your comment. Once again, to this mic stand on the left. To the mic stand in the middle.
Today I'm going to be siding with the affirmative team, and I find it ironic that we humans as a species right now are debating about whether or not we should continue to help other humans, even though the reason where we are right now as a species is because we have helped each other in the past. And even if that help now has to involve handing over state control to another state, if that is what has to be done, shouldn't that be done? Thank you.
All right, if speakers, thank you for that. If speakers are going to provide critical feedback, I would like to ask to provide some positive feedback as well. To the mic stand in the back of stage right.
So I just wanted to point out in favor of the negative team, I was quite shocked that it didn't come up in the debate, that the example of how the Soviet Union fell apart didn't come up, which was obviously due to the expansive space and population. Therefore, taking up failed states would further doom successful states into a possible financial crisis. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Once again, to this mic stand on stage left.
I just wanted to say this for the affirmative team, like if we do things on our own, that would be better, because we are doing it in our way. If we take the help of the states for our own management, then the country won't develop because it has been developed. So we won't learn how to control ourselves. That's just what I want to say.
All right, thank you. Mic stand in the middle.
Okay, I just wanted to add that if a state is strong, it doesn't mean it's perfect. Even strong states have their problems, for example, Germany and USA, and that's the reason why Ubudehe system used in Rwanda was made, for the poor to help the poor and for the elite to help the elite. Thank you.
And thank you. The mic's down on stage right.
Hi. One of the points that wasn't really addressed was how states measured, how people measured how successful a state was. They used the failed state index and all that. But how reliable is the failed state index when North Korea is kind of high on the list? So would you want North Korea to control another country, or not control, but you know what I mean. And also, good job, Joseph.
Thank you for the comment. Middle, Mike, please.
The negative team stated that handing over the management of a country to a more successful country would ruin the dignity. But put yourself in the shoes of a Syrian refugee that's been kicked out of their home and been denied access by all the European countries. Is dignity really the thing that you have in mind when you have no home? Or would you prefer that a country like the United States kicks out ISIS and lets you back into your home where you can live a prosperous life?
All right, thank you. Quick note that if there are any coaches, parents, teachers, adults who would like to contribute to the discussion, they may contribute as well. To the mic stand at stage right.
How exactly would we choose which successful state would take control?
Thank you for your concise question. To the mic stand at stage left.
Yeah, the negative side did touch on it a little bit, but they didn't really expand on the points, and the proposition didn't exactly rebut against the point. So what would happen after the failed state was taken over and has become successful? I mean, you'd have to have, once the state was successful, would the original state want to, let go of another territory it would kind of become, so, yeah.
Thank you for that. The panel is almost ready, so we will have one more speaker from each microphone. Quick reminder that the internet was difficult on stage. Please keep this in mind when giving feedback. To the mic stand in the middle.
Both teams have argued mostly about the motion itself, but not what it means and how the background of the history of how it works. And it feels like they don't have historical knowledge on what they all have presented, because they could have given out great examples like, as others said, the US invasion of Iraq, or the splitting of Korea, Germany, or Vietnam, or US helping post-World War II Germany. I mean Japan, sorry.
All right, thank you. And to our final speaker at the mic stand on stage left.
In my opinion, I think we can treat failed states like disease. So once someone's gotten over a serious disease, they usually can't catch the end because their immune system is used to it. So if a failed state is on their own or with only a little bit of aid and they recover, they know what not to do next time rather than if someone told them exactly what to do or took control of their state. And also, good job, Joseph.
Someone seems like a fan favorite. Anyways, our panel is ready to deliver their verdict, so if I could call the panel on stage.
Okay, we'd like to thank both teams for an excellent debate. On the point of rebuttals, we felt both sides had very good rebuttals backed by evidence, but we felt that a little bit more explanation could have definitively ended points.
Hello, I'm speaking about respect. At the beginning, there was quite a lot of respect in between the speakers. You were listening, but at the end, after the third speaker, it went into a non-respectful area. Maybe both of you on both teams, could improve on that area.
Hi, I'm here to talk about presentation. Both teams had really strong delivery, and they were able to make eye contact even in such pressure, and they were very passionate, and they believe in what they were talking about, which I think was great, and overall was just a really great debate, and I love both teams' style for speaking.
Hi, I'm going to talk about the evidence behind the debate today. So we thought that the constructors of both of the teams lacked a little bit of evidence from where you guys are coming from and what you guys are talking about, so it was very generalized, so that's possibly something that you could improve on.
Hi, I'll be talking about the structure and flow of the debate. The flow of the debate was generally good, but I think that both teams, as the debate went on, that the flow kind of lost its track throughout the debate, and both the negative and affirmative had a kind of a rush time.
Hi, I'm going to talking about the content of the negative team. The panel have discussed and we have come to the conclusion that the whole argument, the whole debate delivered by the negative team it was in lacking of arguments, and that there were too many rebuttals more than the argument itself, and that the whole debate revolves around the very argument they delivered, and that we believe the debate can be expanded more if they actually gave arguments. More arguments, sorry.
Okay, it is my pleasure to announce the winner. Can I have a drum roll, please? And this debate goes to the affirmative team.
Once again, a big round of applause to all the speakers in the panel for being willing to decide the verdict. That's your debate showcase!